It's not uncommon to hear heavy criticism of the US school system, especially with recent events. But why exactly is that? Could we really be doing all that much better? And what happens if we don't fix it? Today I'll be diving into these questions, and hopefully I'll open your eyes to some flaws in the system in the process. To answer a question about something, you need an understanding of that thing, so I'll start with some background on the school system. I promise it's not as boring as it sounds. The school system was started on some rickety foundations. Essentially, what happened was billionaires of the early 1800s were having some trouble with employment. Adult workers were so fed up with their life threatening working conditions that they started to protest and unionize. This really ground the gears of the billionaires. It wasn't fair at all. So here's the situation: the billionaires have copious amounts of money, a massive wave of unhappy workers, and a super clear and easy way to make those unhappy workers happy. So they did what anyone would do: child labor. They decided to go with the good old child labor route. They started to use kids in their factories to boost production and make sure that the stockholders were happy. But they were met with a slight dilemma. Kids were kids. They didn't make great employees. They were small, energetic, didn't know how to obey, and were full of life and childlike curiosity. These were serious problems that needed desperate fixing. Now, if only there could be a system that was mandatory for all American children, in which children are herded together, stripped of any individuality, and are taught to work tirelessly until they're too old to do it anymore. Billionaires suddenly began investing hundreds of millions of dollars into developing a public school system. The US public school system was first made mandatory for children in 1852. The early system was quite different from our modern day schools, though. Back then, students would wake up early in the morning and go to school from then until the afternoon. In their classes, they were given daily tasks to improve their literacy skills. These skills were really important for their future because without them, they'd be too stupid to do well in their jobs. If a student were to underperform or misbehave in class, they'd be punished by their higher-ups. Once a student had done enough schooling and was deemed an obedient worker, they'd move on to college, where they would learn things that would actually prepare them for their job. That primitive system has evolved and improved in a multitude of ways since then. They added school buses, and so that's the general gist of the foundation of the school system. Well, if you didn't see any problems with the story I just recounted, Rockefeller did a good job. In recent years, we've seen an alarming decrease in the math and reading scores of 13-year-olds. The scores in those categories today are worse than they were 10 years ago, despite the billions of dollars that the government pours into improving the system. The system is pretty much the same as it was a century ago, and it shows. Its original intent was to create obedient, efficient workers for big corporations, and that's exactly what it does today. And if you want to get a better education, you can pay extra money to take AP classes, which are created by, you guessed it, big corporations. The College Board, the corporation that administers AP classes and exams, is another massive issue in our system. One of the founders of the College Board and the creator of the SAT, Carl C. Brigham, created the SAT for a very interesting reason. His book, A Study of American Intelligence, explains that the decline of American intelligence will be more rapid than the decline of the intelligence of European national groups, owing to the presence here of the... He also explains that the deterioration of American intelligence is not inevitable, however, if public action can be aroused to prevent it. So essentially, the College Board was started by a eugenicist, which... Nowadays, the SAT is one of the primary factors in determining whether or not one is qualified for college. That test was literally designed to make non-white people look less intelligent, and is what we use to measure a student's intelligence now. And not only that, but the College Board makes billions of dollars off of these tests and by selling the data of AP students. The CEO, David Coleman, has a salary of over $2.5 million in 2020 alone. And because they provide a public benefit that they profit off of massively, the company qualifies as a non-profit organization, so they're exempt from paying any taxes. Might I remind you that this is the company that basically controls the entire school system. There are a lot of other flaws with the school system, but this video is supposed to be 4 minutes long. It's impossible to say exactly what the future might look like, but if the trends in our test scores continue on their predicted paths, it won't look good. The school system today teaches us how to do what we're told, and teaches us just enough knowledge to make it through life. It should be teaching us how to learn, how to grow, and how to think and provide for ourselves. The school system is supposed to bring forth the next generation of innovators, leaders, and social media influencers. If we don't prepare these future generations for the roles they'll need to fill, our country could see a massive national decline.